Dungeons and Dragons and most other tabletop role-playing games can be very expensive to get into. The books, the dice, the miniatures, the terrain, there's a lot of things you can spend a lot of money on, and that can be a barrier to getting into the hobby. In this video, I want to lay out how you can run or play Dungeons and Dragons for free. All you need is a bit of time, a printer if you want the physical copies of some items, and a desire to get started. Every resource I talk about in this video will have a link in the description, so let's jump right into this. The first thing you will need is rules to play the game. Now, you could go out and get the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual, but each of them is going to cost you roughly $25 each, which, as you can tell, is not free. Fortunately, there is the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition SRD, which stands for System Reference Document. The SRD is free, and it gives you everything you need to be able to play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It is 400 pages long, which can seem daunting, but you don't need to read it all. The basic rules start on page 76 and go to page 104, and these lay out how to play the game, including when to roll dice, how to attack, how to make saving throws, and how to do everything in between. Pages 3 through 75 lay out how to make player characters for the game, including options for races, classes, equipment, and backgrounds. If you have any spellcasters amongst your player characters or monsters, pages 105 through 194 list all of the spells they could ever need. Pages 206 through 253 lay out all the magic items you could use in your adventures, and page 254 and onward is a big list of monsters for you to use to populate your world or in combat. You don't need to know everything in this document. Just choose a few monsters, a few magic items, a few player character options, and just run with that. The SRD is an incredible resource that you should think of as the D&D demo document, and I thank Wizards of the Coast for providing it to everyone for free. It does not have as many options as a full rulebook does, but you don't need that many options when you first start out. You need to figure out if you like this game and if your group likes this game. The SRD unfortunately doesn't come with player character sheets, which is what players use to write down what their character's abilities are and what equipment they may be carrying, but Wizards of the Coast does have free character sheets you can use. Also, if you just want some pre-generated characters, Wizards of the Coast has that as well. Alright, so you have the rules, but now you need an adventure to apply them to. There are a ton of free options online, but again, you don't need a lot of options right now. I recommend the Delian Tomb by Matt Colville. It's simple, short, made for level 1 characters, and comes with a map. The monsters of the adventure are also in the SRD. The Bugbear can be found on page 266, the Goblins can be found on page 315, and the Undead in room 6 will be 2 Ghouls, which we can find on page 312. The Scythe Trap in area 3 is not in the SRD, but we can just use the SRD's trap table to choose its properties. This is your first adventure, so let's just make this a level 1 setback trap. So your player characters will have to succeed a DC 10 dexterity saving throw to avoid it, or take 1d10 slashing damage. If you don't understand these terms, don't worry, the basic rules in the SRD will explain them. If this adventure is too short for you, or if you just like something different, you can go to the DMsGuild.com, which is an online store for a lot of D&D related things, and you can look through their free adventures section. Again, links in the description. Okay, so you have the rules and you have an adventure, but you're still missing a key component: dice. I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of dice just lying around. If you have a bunch of old board games, maybe you can cobble together some dice for this game, but most of the time you're probably going to need to use an online resource or get very creative. For online dice rollers, you can use a free phone app like CritDice on the Android store. You could use Google's built-in dice rollers, or you could use a website like a.teal.info. If you want physical dice, you might have a hard time, but dice are just an easy way to roll random numbers. If you have another fun way to generate random numbers, just use that. Whether that means writing numbers on a piece of paper, cutting it into squares and putting that into a hat to make pseudo dice, or cutting wooden blocks into actual dice is up to you. Okay, now the hardest part for some people, finding a group to play with. Most people just ask their friends or family, but if you can't do that, try your coworkers as a next step. If that doesn't work, the internet has a ton of resources to help you try and find a group. Reddit has an entire subreddit, r/LFG, dedicated to people trying to find tabletop groups. Facebook groups, such as the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition one, can be a great place to talk to people about the game and set up a group. Also, the D&D Beyond forums, as well as many other tabletop online forums, have a section dedicated to people getting groups together. If you do use an online resource to find players, make sure you ask them a few questions or hang out with them first before committing to a long-term game. You don't know if you'll like them and how they play in the game, or if you'll even like the game. So try to make sure it's short to start with, and then once they're more than strangers and you feel safe role-playing with them, start to commit to more. Now we have all the rules, equipment, and people we need to play the game. Now we just need a place to actually play it. If you are playing in person, this part can be pretty easy. Just ask the person with the biggest table to host, or if you have someone who likes hosting in the group, just let them do it. If you live too far apart from each other or don't have a spare table lying around, you can look at local game stores to see if you can find a place to play, but note that most of them require some form of payment to use their space, which, of course, is not free. If none of that works for you, or you're experiencing a global pandemic that won't let you leave your house or see anyone, online gaming is a great solution. Online role-playing games are done on virtual tabletops, otherwise known as VTTs. There are a ton of options, but most require a one-time purchase or a monthly subscription. For free options, there's Astral Tabletop, Tableplop, Let's Roll, and many more. I'm honestly not that well versed in the free virtual tabletop options, so if you look at the comments down below or maybe do a deep dive Google search of your own, you might find something that suits you better. No matter what, you should now have a place to play the game, but you also need a place to communicate the game. If you're playing in person, this can seem like a no-brainer. You're just going to communicate at the table you're also playing at, but you might need a bit more than just a table. Sometimes you want to draw out a map to visualize the situation or to mark where everyone is in relation to each other. This can be done with just some printer paper and some pencils, as well as some tokens. Again, this is supposed to be free, so don't go out getting some custom miniatures for your player characters as tokens. Just say, Tom is that red bottle cap, Darnell is that kitchen magnet, and Jessica is this eraser, and so on. Although, if you have Lego minifigures lying around, this is a great use for them. If you are playing online, you will most likely need a place beyond your VTT to communicate. I recommend at least having voice communication, but video and text communication can be helpful as well. For this, I recommend something everyone in the group already knows how to use and is using, whether that be Google Hangouts, Skype, Zoom, or my personal favorite, Discord. If you use something everyone in the group already knows how to use, that's one less obstacle between you and playing the game. With that, you have everything you need to play the game. You won't have as many options in terms of adventures, classes, and equipment as someone who paid a bunch of money, but that does not mean that your game is any worse for it. At its heart, Dungeons & Dragons is a storytelling game. Your imagination and your passion is going to be worth far more than any cool miniature, cool terrain, or special virtual animation you buy. So grab the SRD, grab a phone for rolling some dice, grab some pencils and papers for scribbling down notes, go grab some friends, and go grab some memories. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy your first session. If you made it this far into the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone you think wants to play D&D but doesn't want to put a bunch of money into it. And let me know in the comments down below if you like this video. I hope you had a great day and enjoy your roleplay.